in this valley, and they were two different peoples. It was one big kind of circle of a valley, but there was a wall, a yellow wall made out of hard clay that was right down the middle of the valley. And it separated the two groups of people. And the thing is, on both sides of this wall, there were these thriving villages of artists. They were sculptors. They loved to make sculptures out of clay. On the one side of the wall, there was this beautiful, deep red clay. And the people would come into the center of their side, and they would come together and they would take the clay and they would make these beautiful sculptures together. They were amazing. They were like all these kinds of shapes, like all angles and edges, and they would build them tall and intricate and amazing, and they were very proud of them. And on the other side, they were also artists. But the clay that they had there was blue. And they were inspired by the ocean, which they could hear on very quiet nights over the hills. And so they would make these beautiful, curving, beautiful, wide, and wavy sculptures together. And they were very happy. They were very happy, and they had a good life, except each of them kind of didn't like that there were these other people on half the valley. Every once in a while, somebody would take out a ladder and they would peer over the wall, and they would look at those crazy, funky-looking sculptures, and they would say, that's all wrong, I wish they would just leave the valley. And then somebody with one side would do it, somebody from the other side would do it, and one day, a child picked up a rock and hucked it over the wall. Just hucked it right over the wall, and bing! It took off the edge of one of the sculptures. And somebody had worked very hard on that sculpture, and they were pretty sad about that. So they went and they found a rock and hucked it over the wall, and sure enough, bing! The edge of another one of the sculptures, one of the beautiful blue wavy sculptures, was knocked off. And they'd lived a long time in this valley, sharing this valley and not liking each other. They didn't not like each other a little bit, they didn't like each other a lot. And it had been that way for a long time. So as soon as these rocks started flying, it just, boom! It kept going so fast. People started picking up rocks and flinging them over the wall, and everything was getting all chipped up, all these beautiful sculptures. And then somebody, an older woman actually, which is very surprising, said, I know what I'll do. I'll go, and she went, and she found a big, big boulder, and she said, here, come help me get this. And she put it in a big kind of cannon. And somebody looking on the other side from a ladder saw that this was happening, and they got their own boulder, and they got ready. They got this big old cannon with a big old boulder. What? Okay. It's the big old cannon, and they lit the fuse, and the cannon was about to go over, and they realized that they needed to be safe because a big old boulder was, so they all went running into the hills, and the cannons went poof, and the boulders went smash right into the beautiful, beautiful sculptures, and everything turned to dust. The people looked down into the valley, and they saw all of their sculptures, even that wall, turned to dust. Yellow dust and red dust and blue dust everywhere. And the people were so sad that they started to cry. And as they cried, the tears rolled down their cheeks and joined together and rolled down the curving hills and into the dust. And their tears mixed into the dust. It was their tears, the tears were full of so many things. Sadness about their busted up beautiful sculptures, and sadness because when they looked across the hills, they could see that the people across the hills were also crying, and they felt their hearts kind of open to them. They felt a little bit of love. And suddenly they felt like they were more like those other people across the hills than different from them. So they cried, and their tears came together in a river down into the valley and mixed up with all of those different kinds of clay. And the funny kind of thing is, since all that dust had been all mixed up, the clay mixed up too, and there were all kinds of colors. The red mixed with the red and the blue and the yellow, and there was a rainbow of clay. And the people saw this happening, and they came into the center of town, and they started to build amazing new sculptures with purples and oranges and blues and reds and yellows and edges and curves, and the people came together and became one people. And it's not that it was always easy for them after that, because they still had differences. And sometimes people still did mean stuff, and they had to find a way to figure that out and make it right. But they lived together happily for a long time in their beautiful, beautiful village. And That's the end of my story. So now we're going to sing you out and sing me out because I'm going to go hang out with the senior youth. All right.